Picture two people, exact same diet, identical diet. One of the groups trains in a genuinely post-absorptive fasted state, eating nothing. They will burn more fat during the training bout. But look, the group who consumed their breakfast.
Let's talk about fasted training and whether or not it indeed burns more body fat. And here, let's expand the conversation to include cardiovascular training. And of course, that's a vast space. Could be long, slow distance, could be high intensity interval training, anything that gets your heart rate elevated deliberately for 12 minutes or more is kind of how I put it. So let's be broad with what we're calling training. Could be resistance training, circuit training, whole body part split, whatever. Let's take all that and let's define the fast as not having eaten either for 4 hours during the middle of the day or for 8 hours or to 12 hours, including sleep the night before. Right? Because people then say, wait, but I'm fasted because I don't eat lunch. And then okay, it gets really murky. And then we could spend 26 hours here and we don't want to do that. So assuming that one trains fasted, does one burn more stored body fat in particular, or just more dietary fat if there's dietary fat circulating and available? Let's just say lipids. I think that when we hear the word fat, people think body fat, but there's also dietary fat. So could you please discriminate between those two?
Yeah. Okay. So picture this. Picture two people eating the exact same amount of, exact same diet, identical diet. By the end of the day, same macronutrition, same food selection, everything is identical. One person or one of the groups, let's say we're running a study, okay? One of the groups trains in a genuinely post-absorptive fasted state, 8 to 10 hours-ish, eating nothing. They will burn more fat during the training bout.
Body fat?
Yes. They will burn more body fat. They will burn more intramuscular fat. Their net fat oxidation will be higher than the group that has a breakfast. And the group that has the breakfast will essentially be, burning their breakfast during the training. So yes, during the training, there is greater fat burning in the fasted group. But once again, we're looking at two groups who are consuming the exact same diet. So the group who consumed their breakfast is going to consume less stuff, less food, one less meal in the later part of the day. So their fat oxidation is going to be higher in the later part of the day. And so it all comes out even by the end of the day. So that is the kind of the big issue and the big principle with fasted training having, yes, it does burn more fat during training, but you're looking at a snapshot of time within the course of the day. You're not looking at the course of the day. But you know what? This was a huge idea that persisted throughout the late 80s and early 90s. Even into the 2000s when Bill Phillips came out with Body for Life and stuff. He was big on the fasted cardio and stuff. And so this kind of lore is really cool if you know scientists who are able to rope you in and help you, investigate this stuff. So once again, I got to give Brad Schoenfeld a lot of credit. He wanted to test this hypothesis out. And so we took college-age subjects, women, and we compared fasted cardio with fed cardio. And the predominant lore at the time was the fat-burning zone, right? So we're talking low, moderate intensity cardio, which they carried out for a little less than an hour. And we compared an immediate pre-cardio meal, which was it was like a meal replacement type of thing, with the same meal consumed post-cardio. And then we measured body composition over. So this is one of the only existing studies that looked at this question and controlled, hypocaloric conditions. I actually put together all the studies by hand for each of the subjects, kind of customizing it to their needs and making sure things were hypocaloric, making sure protein was optimized. Interestingly, there was no resistance training involved with this study. They were just doing their cardio. All subjects in both groups maintained their lean body mass, but both groups lost a significant amount of body fat. No difference in body fat reduction between groups by the end of the study, whether they did their cardio fed or whether they did it fasted. And that's because we equated the total nutrition between the groups.
What was the cardio? What was the workout? And the reason I'm asking is that it's impressive that they all lost body fat as long as they ate the appropriate amount of calories, didn't matter when they distributed those calories relative to the exercise, and they maintained lean body mass. And if they weren't doing resistance training, I'm impressed that the cardiovascular training was sufficient to allow them to maintain lean body mass. What was the cardiovascular workout?
It was low, moderate intensity, what might be called zone 2 type of cardio, where you can still hold a conversation, but it's not necessarily a waltz. And so the whole idea was to be in the fat burning zone. We wanted to exploit the whole fat burning zone concept to keep the intensity low, moderate, so we can give the fasted cardio condition a chance to show whatever magic it might have. And so we didn't see that magic by the end of the trial. But here's the practical takeaway from that is, number one, we didn't see a bunch of lean mass loss in the fasted cardio group, because there's this lore saying that, hey, you better not train fasted, no matter what. You better not do cardio fasted because you're going to lose muscle. Well, they didn't lose any lean body mass. And when you form practical takeaways from the findings, we can say that if you prefer to train fasted and you just feel better doing your cardio in a fasted state, great, do it fasted. If you can't stand doing fasted cardio and you'd rather have a breakfast beforehand, then go ahead and do that. Just know that that's not going to necessarily hinder your fat loss efforts as long as you're net hypocaloric by the end of the day or the end of the week. And I mean, those recommendations can change with the type of cardio you do, especially higher intensity stuff, or certainly competitive types of sports that involve, endurance performance elements and stuff. But that's the takeaway from our study, that fasted versus fed cardio doesn't matter. Do it based on personal preference.
I love it. After so many years of trends coming through, train fasted, don't train fasted, it seems like, as with protein, what I'm learning from you is that there's a lot more flexibility in time than we might have once thought, but that the absolute calories, of course, matter. Prioritizing protein matters. And and that you still have to train. You got to do something.
And can I add this, because I know you'll appreciate this? I'm not going to cherry pick our study and say that this is the end all result that is gospel. So there's actually a later meta-analysis a few years later by, I think it's Hagstrom and Hackett, who looked at fasted versus fed training, and they overall found no significant differences or significant advantages in terms of body comp improvement, fat loss in the fasted versus the fed conditions, as long as total nutrition is equated